I hate to be one of those people who can be like, yeah, and this is part two of the video, but I pushed pause so I could go take care of a phone call that ended up being a scam call. Now I'm back. Hello. Um, so once that job was pretty much like, all right, we're done there. We had that weekend. It was like, let's hit the ground running. And I was getting phone calls. I mean, practically three or four in a day. And I was going on interview after interview. And I had all of these things set up and all of this shit was lined up. And I went to Securitas last week and did a uniform fitting. And they were like, all right, this is what you can do. Well, this is when you start. And then Intercon was like, hey, come in for a uniform fitting. Here's what we're doing. So it was like, it was nice that I had all of these options. And I've settled on Intercon, not because I feel like the job is better, not because I did a detailed comparison, but because where they intend to place me would be close to home. It would kind of be in walking distance, or at the very least, like 3 stops away on a train or something. Like, I really feel like that would be really convenient. And they pay weekly and they have a really good insurance packet. So that's why I leaned that direction, despite the fact that the pay not being as much as I would have liked. Like, it's still a living. Like, we'll still get by, but it's the medical and dental and the 401k package that really got me. It's like, okay, I guess I can do that. And this morning I was actually supposed to be at Securitas for training, and they called me. And it was my intention not to burn a bridge, but I think I may have, which sucks. But now I'm just waiting to call this other place back and see about my schedule for the week, assuming that they'll even have me start this week, or they may even have me start today. I don't know. But despite the fact that I was out there on my grind, we have fallen short. My son, to his credit, has reached out to all of his people, and he has managed to scrape up $240, which he will send at our discretion, assuming we need it, which is fantastic. The issue is that even with my check from this last place, I keep forgetting the name of it. First Security Services. Could consider this a mild review for First Security Services. Don't. They're highly unorganized. They don't know what they're doing, and they're demanding. Like, nah, I don't want to work there. um, with the check I have coming from them and the money that Kari was able to hustle up, not even taking into account if/when Asia will get her unemployment, we find ourselves short when it comes to the rent. And then you have to start thinking about things like, well, if we have to leave this place, how will we get there? Where will we go? Kari can go stay with his girl, but what happens to the cat? You know, what? Small cat's an asshole, but he's our asshole, you know? And I don't want to be like, oh, we have to do this for the cat, but it's like, the cat is also a member of the family, and I don't want to abandon people, you know? So I've come up with what I think is the only logical thing that we can do. Is it's a road we've never gone down. It's something we've never done. We've never explored it, even in what we thought was our darkest moments. We're like, we're not doing that. Asia is going to ask her grandmother for a loan. And by asking early, like, it's the 25th, like, we would need it by the 5th, which is 10 days. It's better than calling on, say, October 3rd and saying, here's what we need, and putting her in this position where even if she wanted to, the pressure of being able to do what she had to do to get it to us would be too much, and she would ultimately be like, I'm sorry, I can't, and that'd be fucked up. So by asking early, I feel like that's going to be the way to go. I was discussing the plan with Kari first, not because I wanted to discuss it with him first, but because Asia was asleep. And I found that Kari is a good sounding board, because if I give him a workable theory that I think is workable, he'll be able to poke holes in a plan and go, no, that's stupid. We can't do that. Here are the reasons why. But after discussing it with him, he's like, okay, when is it too late? Like, at what point is it just like, well, nothing we can do? And realistically, if we don't have the rent and the $50 late fee associated with paying the rent late by or on October 10th, we would go from red alert to abandon ship, because they're going to hit us with attorney fees. And then they're going to make us, like, we're kind of behind in our water and sewage right now. And they would expect all of that and the rent and the attorney fees. So you're talking $2,500. And if we are having an issue coming up with $1,200, certainly we're not going to be able to come up with $2,500. So by the 10th, they'll put that in, like the 22nd, 23rd, they'd be like, all right, it's time to have a sheriff come out and escort you out of the place of residence. And we need to avoid that at all costs. That can't be a thing. And frankly, as I'm saying it now, I'm hearing myself say it and I'm thinking to myself, God damn, why is it every couple of months we find ourselves in some fucked up precarious situation? And it's not anybody's fault. Like, Asia did her best at that job, and I'm glad she's gone. I am, because I didn't like how she felt when she came home, where she had done her best and poured her soul into it to get done, and to have somebody tell her, sorry, not enough, it's very bothersome. And it left her feeling less than, and I didn't like that. And honestly, I always, whenever she would come home and complain, I would always feel bad. And I'd be like, damn, I'm sorry that my baby got to go through this. But if it were me, I would go to work and just, you know me, suck it up, buttercup, get it done. And I would deal with those emotions because, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a captain. That's what I do. But the constant reminder that she might not be able to stay at the job was unfair to her. And that uncertainty spilled over into our personal lives until we find ourselves in this situation. So now that I'm going back to work, that won't be a problem. Because if that's the way they feel about my job performance at work, I know how to suck it up and just be like, yes, sir, I guess I'll do what you say you want me to do. And I'll swallow my pride and suck it up and do it. And my doing it is different from her doing it, because her shit was precise. Paperwork, dot I's, cross T's, make sure this is capitalized. She was dealing with medical records. For me, it's just like, make sure you lock a door, or make sure you do patrol so you're being seen. Like, it's completely different. So I'll be able to handle it better than she did. So if there is a pressure, let that pressure be on me. And I like to think that I'm the kind of person that can gauge a room. I can walk in, I can kind of see where people are and how they're feeling about certain things or what the mood is. And I'll be able to gauge whether or not people whom I am working with or working for are content with my work, or if they feel as though my work needs improvements, and I can adjust on the fly from moment to moment if necessary. So I'm happy to have the pressure. I'm happy to have relieved my wife of that pressure. But now I've left my wife in the unenviable position to do a thing that she's never had to ask to do, because she's got family members and cousins and aunts who reach out to grandma all the time. It's like, grandma, I need blah, blah, blah for such and such and such and such. And like they're tacky and they never give it back, or they're just ungrateful about it if grandma either can't or won't, and there's always some excuse. Oh, I guess asia's Asia is the favorite, I guess. But Asia never asks for anything. Maybe she would be more inclined to help you out if you didn't come to her 3 times a month with some fucking dilemma. Asia is 24 years old and has never once said, "Hey, Grandma, I'm in a bad way. Can you please help?" So I think hearing Asia say it will go a lot farther for her grandmother than, say, Asia's cousins. So, but it's still a pressure on my wife that I'd rather she not had. And we had a whole talk about it. We laid in bed, which was really nice, and we were just talking about it. And I was like, well, the husband and father in me, and as the provider, I had a lot of comforting, encouraging words to try to ease her through it and say, yeah, I understand it's a lot, but here's what we need to do. But as a captain, my response was, you have your orders. I wouldn't have come to you and said this if I thought there was another way. And I really feel like this is the most feasible option to get us the time that we need. Now, if this doesn't work, for whatever reason, I can heavily do some research into one of these eviction help places. And because it feels scammy to me. Here's a guy who says if you give him $400, he can hold up paperwork in court by up to 4 months to give you the time that you need to come up with something else or come up with the money to take care of things. And that just it feels scammy to me. Like, I'm an adult, but not an adult, and I don't know if eviction help is actually a thing. I don't know if there are people you can call and these are actual services. Like, if you Google search it, it's a thing, but then they take you to these makeshift neo-city websites that don't really inspire a lot of confidence. And then you talk to the guy and he's explaining it and he's like, yeah, this is what we need to do. So when do we get started? And I'm like, dude, what you're talking about sounds really good, but also you're talking about give you money now so you can do this, but we opened the conversation with, I don't have any money. So I remember asking him, I was like, is this the sort of thing where we don't pay you till we win? Like, if you are successful in prolonging this for us, do we pay you at the conclusion? And he was like, no, it's you pay me up front and then I put the paperwork into motion. So it sounds like I'm paying you before anything happens. They're like, the level of trust, it's a straw man. It is, because I've had that talk before. To say, well, when you go to McDonald's, you pay at the first window and then you roll up to the second window and your food's waiting. That level of trust is there and it's established because you can see the person ahead of you has also gotten their food. There's a person behind you who's going to get their food. McDonald's. They're like, throw a rock. You can't not find a McDonald's. Like, you'll spot 6 McDonald's on the same street within a 3-mile radius. Like, let's not be ridiculous. But when it comes to some shady attorney whom I've never heard of, whom when I called him didn't say law offices or blah, blah, and blah, blah. He was just like, hello. Like, didn't inspire confidence. It certainly didn't inspire, here, take every last dime I have, stranger, please help me. So if it comes down to it, I'll look into it more. And maybe he was just shady. Maybe that is a service and there are others out there. Like, I did a search. I saw at least 3 or 4 different ones. I mean, I was really skimming through it. I didn't put much stock into it after I talked to the first guy because it felt scammy. But if this doesn't work out, then I guess I'll look into that. I guess, that'll be a thing that, we try to do. But I would hate to invest that and then it doesn't work out. And now we're just $400 down from where we were. That would suck. But I personally have every confidence that because we are going to grandma very early on and saying, here's where we are and here's what we're going to need, can you help? And considering that we've never went to her before for anything, I think she'll be inclined to help us out. And at the very least, that's an avenue we can explore. And if she isn't in a position to help us out, then we'll know early. And we can say, well, that's off the table. What else can we do? And then we can kind of gauge where we are. So I didn't mean to talk so long. I just needed to get this off my chest. I swear these videos to me are so beneficial because I can guarantee you that one way or another, we're going to get out of this. We'll come out of the other side together. Whether we come out of the other side of this together and we're still here and we make it another day, or if it's me and Asia with all the belongings we can carry in a Target shopping cart walking down Folsom Boulevard looking for a place to put our tent, like, we'll come out of the other side together and it'll be fine. But to have this sort of visual record where we're discussing the different options and you can hear the conviction in our voices and you can see that we're really trying to do things and there's a day-to-day record of everything that's happening, I feel like it's really beneficial. Because the next time we find ourselves in a rough patch, we can come back to this and we'll say, how the fuck did we get out of this? How the fuck did we do that? And here's a record of it, step by step, how we did it. I'll make this last point and then I'll leave because this video has gone on much too long. I regret not starting to do these videos sooner. We started at the beginning of 2016. And there are times in our lives where I would love to be able to go back and watch a video to see what my mindset was, say, 2013, when Asia was working with a lady who had muscular dystrophy and she made like $300 a month, if that. And Kari was in therapy for all that shit that Janelle had done, and the state was giving us a couple of bucks, and it wasn't enough to do anything. And I was working at Target, and I was getting like 12 hours a week. And somehow we managed to keep the lights on. We managed to keep the refrigerator full. We managed to make sure we had internet. We managed to make sure our phone stayed on. We always managed to have the things that we needed, but damn, I can't tell you how we did it. Like, what were the steps? What were the processes? How did we manage that? I mean, I was there. It was a couple of years ago, but I don't remember anymore. Because I've had so many doom and gloom disasters since then, or maybe I'm just old and it slips my mind. But regardless to why I can't remember, that's what makes it beneficial, because even if I can't remember, videotape don't lie. I can always come back to a point, as long as I can remember, hey, I remember at a point in late 2018 where things were kind of rough. I can run a search on the internet for late 2018 and watch that select group of videos to see how we got out of it, or even better, just to see where our mindsets were and how we handled it. So that's why these videos are so important to me, and that's why even in the midst of, wow, shit sucks right now, like, we can say that things have sucked before and we've gotten through it. This will be no different. This time, like every other time, we will make our bitch, because that's what we do. Now, if you excuse me, I'm done talking. I'm gonna go get me something to drink. I'm gonna make a phone call that I've been semi-dreading, and gonna get our day started.